Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here today. My name is FilmmakerJ, and this is a first episode of a hopefully semi-regular vlog series about updates regarding my various projects. Because a little while ago, I realized that I could, instead of writing like journal entries or comments or status updates or posting in some other manner, I could update my Deviantart community, what size community I have so far, with video updates, something that I find a lot of people don't really do. You see a lot of streamers, a lot of Twitch streamers and Picardo streamers showing their process, but you don't see voiced updates about things down the line. And I did start a Discord server to periodically post sketches and works in progress that I'm currently working on. But for those of you who have not gotten to the Discord yet, maybe some of you will soon. I don't know if it's of complete interest to you. But hopefully this will inform you more about what I'm working on, because I do want to share it with you. I do want to find some way of sharing what's going on with everybody that watches my gallery. So, also, for everyone seeing this on my YouTube channel, you might not have known that I do art. Some of my art and drawings have shown up in earlier videos, but I don't think you guys know that I've been focusing on my art for the most part for the past couple of years. I've moved away from videos a little while to focus on the art. So this will be an introduction to you guys on what I do. So I've got here a list of current projects. So I'm going to be going into each of these in detail, but this is my sheet of what I'm currently working on. This has actually been updated recently. I changed things around because I added even more. And I'm going to mention at least one other that is not currently on this version of the sheet, the reference sheet. But most of these are still stuff that is being worked on. So the ones at the very top are ones that are finished. They are currently on my DeviantArt gallery right now. And I'm actually going to be updating two of them. I'm going to be making changes to two of them. These last two over here, which are of my character Sadie, I'm going to be redoing aspects of those, because I've realized that there are quite a few, about at least 10 pieces in my gallery from the last year that I'm not entirely happy with. So I want to make some subtle changes, and other ones I want to make bigger changes, but I'm going to be updating them. In fact, two of them down here are ones that I resketched from other ones that are on my gallery as well. I resketched them so I can re-ink them and basically redo them. So let's go into some of these one by one, because I want to show you the ones I'm most excited about. So this one here is of Peter Hollins. He is a cappella artist on YouTube, one of the more popular ones, at least as far as solo artists go, although he does a lot of collaborations. My favorite songs from him are his rendition of In Dreams from the end of Fellowship of the Ring, his Goofy Movie mashup song, and then his version of Jurassic Park's theme. So this is basically him in a tuxedo with a choir of other Peter Hollins behind him. So this is just a really rough sketch, just to block it in. And I actually don't do really loose sketches like this often. Usually my rough sketches are actually more detailed than this, but this is going to go through at least 2 more sketch phases until it has all the detail it needs, and then it will be inked. This one, unlike all the others on here, is actually a much older piece. This is 5 years old now, if not 6. I started it in freshman year of college, or actually it might have been early sophomore year. which was when I started drawing again very seriously, because I had learned a lot more since the last time I drew fan art. So I started this in, I believe it was 2013. I sketched it a couple of different times, wasn't happy with it, left it on the back burner until earlier this year, and I finally inked it all. And I'm gonna be, I already added all the color flats, so now I'm gonna be shading it. I still don't know when it will be finished, but it is much further along than it ever used to be. So sooner or later, this one will be done. This one's a new one. This is of a generic Sherlock Holmes with Sherlock Hound from the, at least initially, the Miyazaki animated series from 1985. And then this is Basil of Baker Street from 1987, I believe. So technically, you could say that all of these are 1980s versions of Sherlock Holmes, because I may make the Sherlock Holmes on the left look more like Ian Richardson, who had two Sherlock Holmes films in 83 and 84. This one is of Angel with the eyes of Mock from Rock and Rule. I haven't been entirely satisfied with this image. It's a good, like, alternative rendition of an actual shot from the film, but I don't tend to do shot recreations. I think that's why, part of why I don't like it is that it's just aping off an actual shot from the film and changing a few aspects. I'd much rather do a completely original composition with a little more flair, a little more of my own compositional choices, and maybe have some of the other characters featured in it, not just Angel. But I think this does deserve to be finished, but I will definitely do a few more Rock and Rule pictures later down the road, because I love that movie to death. This is another one I haven't been quite satisfied with. I think I've been wanting to leave it alone for a while so that I can come back and maybe retry it. My trouble with this picture of the two main characters from the Dark Cloud 2 video game, I wasn't happy with the poses, because I really wasn't sure how to pose them in this kind of ready stance, holding their weapons forward. I think the trouble is that there's not enough potential energy. There's not enough spring in their step. That's where I think the trouble lies here. They don't look like they're preparing to leap forward and lunge at something, and once I can get that in there, I think it'll be much better. But this is actually one of two pictures that is a picture in a picture. There's a background of the two characters in silhouette, and then a foreground of their full bodies. I'm actually doing another image very similar to this sort of composition, but that one's going to have 3 levels. It's going to have a background of the characters, a middle ground, and a foreground. This one is Bernard and Bianca from the 1977 Rescuers film. This is also a shot imitation, but I like this movie so much that I think imitating a particular shot and changing the poses a bit doesn't bother me as much. Something about this particular scene I've always enjoyed more than that Angel shot up there. I like other scenes from Rock and Rule a bit more. This is one of the only completely original conceptual pieces I've ever done, although it still isn't finished. This one I think I started when Hurricane Irma was coming through earlier last year. I had actually evacuated to Birmingham, Alabama, and I took my whole computer with me, so I was working on this just before Christmas time, hoping to have it ready for Christmas, but I never did. This is meant to be a Carol of the Bells illusion, so I have an entire orchestra of bells, very similar to the Will Vinton short that was part of his Christmas special, but much more Fantasia inspired. So you have a very giant bell in the background, a smaller one even further back, and then you have all these tiers of bells with a conductor on a platform. The entire thing is actually going to be inked instead of just leaving it part CGI, part hand-drawn. I could do that, and I actually intend to do a few pieces where it's merging the two art styles, but for this one I think I'm going to ink the whole thing. This one, if you're not familiar with the anime The Devil is a Part-Timer, this is a crossover with Hotel Transylvania, where it's the opening shot from the title sequence of The Devil is a Part-Timer. And so we have Dracula on the left and Johnny on the right. This one I think I need to redraw from scratch because this was a little earlier in my drawing days. My drawing skill has improved quite a bit since I started this, so I think I need to redo it. And if anyone is a fan of Red Letter Media, this is one of my most anticipated pieces personally that I want to do up right. This is a crossover of the Wheel of the Worst series with the Wizard of Oz. So I rewrote the famous song to be a representation of the Wheel of the Worst, and then instead of the doorman to Oz, we have Mr. Plinkett coming out of the little porthole window. The rest of these are all related to Sadie on this level. We have a couple that are fully colored, a couple that are still in sketch form but ready to be inked. These are all part of a conceptual series for this character. This was a Dirty Pair fan art that I did, I think, 5 years ago now. This was 2014 when I did this, and I've never really been happy with it. So this, instead of replacing the original deviation or the original artwork, I'm going to be doing a remake that will look better, but I'll leave both of them posted online. Some of the newer artworks I'm remaking or redoing, I'll just replace the existing piece because they're so new that I feel like it's more okay that I do that because I'm not really preserving anything necessarily. This one, though, is old enough that I think I should leave it there for posterity's sake. And then these are two other original characters. This is Bill Sprocket, Captain Bill, and his daughter Maggie from my short film from a few years ago, which actually got into its third film festival just the other day. So these are portraits that I'm doing of these characters because I want to make a character roster of all my original characters, all of their origin stories, their descriptions, their character traits, all that sort of stuff, because I'm starting to have a lot more than I used to. So I want to start keeping track of everybody so that I don't forget who I have, because eventually I think maybe I will forget who I have. It definitely has happened before. And then here's another one of Sadie, another forward portrait. These two are the ones I mentioned earlier that I am redrawing and resketching. The one on the left is Captain Kathryn Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. Her portrait, there were two main issues with it, which I can actually show you here. So this was the original, and my main problem with it is that her face looks a little blank and a little statuesque. There's not as much personality coming from it like Kate Mulgrew always gave the character. She had a very distinctive little facial quirks, very distinctive eyes that kind of stared you down when she was really serious. I just love the warmth and intensity that she gave to the character, and sadly I think I did not give that to this portrait here. So I want to make sure that I fix that, and I think that's what I managed to do with the resketch. It now looks much, much more like Kate Mulgrew from a particular cast photo they got of her, I think around season 3. The other thing was the hand. If you look on the other one over here, the hand, the left hand, I think, is very scrawny. it's almost shrinking. So for the resketch, I totally readjusted it so that it now wraps around her arm and rests there properly, and it's a proper size. The other one is of a character named Bimbet, a totally intentional name. I don't even think the name shows up in the film except maybe in the credits. But this is from the Tiny Toons How I Spent My Vacation direct-to-video special, which is actually one of my favorite films of all time. But this character is a cameo character. She shows up for a very brief moment in the film, but a very memorable moment. And a friend of mine from Deviantart named Airy Dynamic and I did a series of collaborations based around this film. And so we both decided to do a portrait of this character, but the one that I made, I was not happy with, primarily because I think the pose of the arms was wrong, and one arm was too short, and the shoulder looked like it was locked off at a weird angle, and then the other one, the shoulder was not moving up with the arm. The arm was just kind of like on a ball bearing shooting straight up, but the shoulder wasn't moving with it. And then the hair looked wrong. So I basically left the rest of it as it was, but I redrew the arms, I redrew the hair, I adjusted the torso a little bit, and so I think I'll be much happier with this version of basically the same piece. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. Once again, my name is FilmmakerJ, artist, voice actor, and filmmaker, and I shall be bringing you more news about my various projects very, very soon. Catch you guys next time.